Welcome to the Wandcast. It's the chapter-by-chapter reread of the Harry Potter series with a very informative craft brew on the side. I'm Aaron, and I'm here with my two favorite Hufflepuffs, Nate and Jade. Hello.
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 On this episode, we are catching up with Chapter 18 of Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Moony, Wormtail, Padfoot, and Prongs. Lupin provides us with a juicy lore drop. Just real quick, if a door opens on its own, I'm bringing the lore to a full stop. Lupin continues to drop insight into his backstory when Snape reveals himself and everything not very hunky-dory.
He's doing it again.
Yeah.
There's a good chance they all rhyme from here on out.
So we found out that Aaron actually has this rare condition where he's eventually forced to rhyme, and the only fix is a little bit of beer, and that seems to straighten him out. It's the weirdest fucking thing.
I don't know if I like that me needing beer is something I want to be true. That does, in fact, leave me feeling quite blue.
Jeez. Do the thing, Aaron.
Well, hey, I think, Nate, you brought this up, that I think sometimes it's maybe a little important that we give a quick recap of the last chapter. I know we're almost done with this book, but we're still looking for ways to improve every time we sit down to do this thing. So we, from now on, are going to be doing a quick little recap of the previous chapter, so you wonderful people know where we're at in the story. Maybe you binged and then took a break. Maybe you haven't read the books in a little while, but hey, all information, information can neither be good nor bad. It's how you use it. We're just here to provide it.
I waited that entire time for you to rhyme again, and you never did.
Oh, I wish I could have.
But it's good because I was paying attention to what you were saying.
I wish I was that talented. I do have to give a lot of forethought into very simple rhymes. But real quick, in the last chapter, the trio arrived at the Shrieking Shack, where they were joined by one Sirius Black and Professor Lupin. Lupin promised to explain everything, and Sirius reveals to us that Scabbers is actually Peter Pettigrew, an animagus, or animagus, or animagi, or animagi.
There's like 17 different pronunciations.
Yeah.
According to the internet, you can just say whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, they're all
fine.
wrong.
Yeah.
But we did spend the time listening to a lot of different pronunciations of that word. Animagus.
We did actually try to put the work in, and it's just totally up in the air.
Yeah, so we apologize if we don't pronounce it how you pronounce it. Because we also learned that, we're big audiobook people here. Different pronunciations on the audiobooks as well. Jim Dale says it quite differently than Stephen Fry does, but hey, that is neither here nor there. I digress. I think it's time to get into some deep dives and do some discussions, and I think we get right into it. The chapter opens with Harry fully realizing that both Sirius and Lupin are fucking mental as hell because Peter Pettigrew is dead. Therefore, he cannot be the rat, also known as Scabbers.
They're trying to press this difficult to explain point. And so from Harry's point of view, he's like, oh, I get it now. And they're like, yeah, you see? He's like, yeah, you guys are bug fuck crazy and should be locked up. Here we go, back to the place. You know what I mean? Like, the story makes no sense to him.
Yeah, this can all be easily explained. You're mental. That's the easy explanation.
There you go. An Occam's razor situation, right?
Exactly, yeah.
The easiest explanation is that you guys have lost your minds entirely.
Yeah. And Sirius kind of acts on emotion again and goes after Scabbers. And Lupin argues, I think rightfully so, and it's what we talked about last chapter a lot. Everyone deserves an explanation. And he tries to explain that Peter Pettigrew is in fact an animagus, and Hermione interrupts quite quickly and says that, hey, she did her homework. There's only been 7 animagi in the last century, because we heard about this. This was in one of their transfiguration classes. They talked about animagus.
I was going to add that the description she gives that there's only been 7 in the last century or so. And so I guess I just didn't realize how rare a thing McGonagall changing into a cat was.
Wild.
Especially since there's a class about transfiguration. So it's like, oh, things change into other things. The ultimate expression of that is you can change yourself into an animal, but that's not the case at all. It's like super rare that people can do that. So that was really interesting.
Is it super rare that people can, or super
Only
rare
7
that
in the last century.
or super rare that people do? Like, because it's a pain in the dick. Because here's the thing. If I found out that I could turn into an animal, like that's the thing that makes me like, why is there only 7?
I'd never
Because
see you in
if
human
I
form again.
found out that you could figure out how to do that, okay, it'll be 5 years. Okay, it'll take me a minute, but I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah, Jade's going to be a cat forever.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
I'm going to be getting a lot of weird looks.
When we do get a little bit
You
more...
turn into an animal,
Sorry,
great.
I really like the cat. I'm sorry.
It'll be fine.
Anyway, I digress. We don't need to talk about that too much more. But yes, it's apparently to be an animagus, which I'm assuming it's just that it's so difficult, and that apparently you have to register if you're an animagus. Maybe people just don't want to deal with the registration? Jade? You said you might be a snake?
That's what it sounded like, yeah. At the same moment, I was just looking at her like, what are you doing?
I was going to say, except the 3 15-year-old kids who are able to do it by themselves.
Yeah, except these underage wizards who were able to do it.
That's the thing. It was so shocking. Like, only 7 in the last century. And it's just like, oh, me and my friends did it, though, also. Like, I'm pretty sure that more pockets of people have been doing this than...
Yes.
Everyone's been aware of.
100
like, yeah,
P.
7 people decided, yeah, I'm going to register with the state and tell them I can do this thing. But actually, it's pretty common. Probably everybody does this. Not everybody, but, everybody that learns.
Weird, sneaky suspicion that we're going to run into more unregistered animagi in the book. Because, why wouldn't we?
Yeah, just like Jade said, if you figured out you could, you would.
Yeah.
Why the fuck not?
I don't know if because when you register, that apparently goes into public domain. Because Hermione said she looked it up. Like, she saw Professor McGonagall's name on the list.
Yeah.
And, and is this just in the UK then? Like, just in the Ministry of Magic? But if you live somewhere else, you have to register with their government? I don't know. Look, I have a lot of questions. We don't get explanation. So... I guess that's kind of the end of it, is just, it doesn't make any sense. I think we're all in agreement. There's for sure more unregistered animagi, though.
I think it was supposed to be a way to answer some questions, but it leaves more.
Yes. Which happens a lot in this book series. Hey, here's an answer. Follow-up? No follow-ups. Be happy with what you got.
Look at the keys.
Now, I get maybe not following up with this, because as Lupin continues to explain that, hey, my friends figured out how to do it, as underage wizards. The door behind them opens all by itself. There's a comment made about, this place is haunted, and Lupin clarifies that the place is not haunted. All of those screams and moans that the villagers heard were from him.
Yeah, that was me.
So this is not a haunted house. Please investigate why the door opened by itself in this house that is not actually haunted.
Oh, we looked outside the door. There was nobody there.
Yeah, we did a quick, must have been the wind, I guess. Like, come on, guys.
We decided not to do like a locate person or anything like that because we were having a conversation
no one rolled insight.
That would be a problem. We got to stay on track here, okay?
So I like the group, I guess. We're just going to blow past the self-opening door, right?
Yeah.
That's okay. Yep. Just go past. We dive much more into Lupin's backstory. We find out that he actually had a pretty similar childhood to Harry, but for different reasons. He was pretty isolated until he got to Hogwarts because he was bit as a child, and werewolves do have a stigma about them in the wizarding world.
He was, that's got to be terrifying to be attacked as a little kid and then changed.
Yeah.
But fucking lucky to have people around him that didn't just throw him away like he was kind of afraid of. Yes, there's a stigma attached, but also he was taken care of. He was brought to school. He was allowed to go to school there. Dumbledore helped him out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dumbledore's got a real strong, hey, I fucking help people vibe.
Oh, yeah.
The parent signatures for Quidditch and all that stuff. No, we don't give a shit if they get hurt. But like, hey, if you think you're unable to come here, I will make a safe space for you here.
I mean,
that being said, you might get killed doing some dumb shit, but hey, that's on you.
I was just going to say that realistically, he's probably lucky to be born in the time that he is, because had he been born any earlier, he probably would have been put down as a monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
like,
and it's
put down.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, straight up put down.
Well, yeah, it's like before. I just had the thought they're all sitting down in the Great Hall at Hogwarts, and then like, all right, let's eat. And he's just like, hey, is this silverware? Just wondering.
Yeah, it's like, guys, what the fuck's going on?
Fuck, bring out the stainless. My bad, dude. I didn't even think about it.
Hey, I think one of the things here that we learn is that getting written off when you're young as like dangerous or bad is like not good for the psyche of a child. And I'm just curious if anyone else drew parallels to, like, I don't know, being sorted into Slytherin when you're 11 years old and now having the stigma that you're in the house that produces bad guys.
Yeah.
No, there's no
Just
correlation
me?
there.
Okay.
Those kids are ambitious and cunning.
Yeah.
And only out for themselves. And
it's not that they won't help people. They'll just only help if they get something out of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, there's pretty much, that's just how they are.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Lupin's luck did turn because, like you hinted at, Jade, this was a very important time because it turns out that Professor Snape is one of the very few people who can make the Wolfsbane potion that allows him to keep his mind when he transforms. So he transforms into a wolf, but he maintains the mind of Remus Lupin, and so he just curls up and sleeps the night away in his classroom, in his office. Not the classroom, in his office. I feel like, even with the potion, I would still be like, hey, pal, take the potion, but can you go down to one of the dungeons just in case? Just in case. And then come back up in the morning, please?
I think if we're trusting it enough to be like, he takes it and he's safe and it's fine, then it's kind of surprising that the only person who's able to prepare it is somebody like Snape and not like somebody who works in the hospital wing, and that we aren't like producing these on a mass level.
Good point. Yeah. There's clearly a stigma to werewolves, and so if you know someone who can successfully make the Wolfsbane potion, feels like Snape should be making that all the time. Well, I guess he doesn't make it all the time. He just has to make enough for every full moon.
Once a month, yeah.
Yeah, like, Snape should be side hustling that at least.
Yeah, you got to imagine there's a community of people who need that.
Yeah, that seems like a need. It seems like a healthcare issue that
Oh, yeah. Well, and why shouldn't Snape also be like teaching Madame Pomfrey how to make this then she can go tell all her witch nurse friends how to make it? And we can educate students in a school, even if they're werewolf. There's a lot going on here.
Should Lupin have to depend on the person who hates him the most in the school to make his medicine? Probably not.
It is an affliction, but this is also a magical school where we're learning about different types of magical creatures. At the end of the day, Lupin is a human being who was then attacked by a monster.
Yep.
And he didn't ask to become a werewolf, but that's the thing, because he was attacked by a thing that couldn't help but attack him.
Yeah.
And so, yes, it's a monster, but it's a monster in the fact that it does a bad thing. The person inside of it is not necessarily a monster and doesn't want to do those things. So if they can get the person in between the sessions and say, hey, I have an option. I have an out for you to get control of this thing. If they take that option, then it's probably a good person. And, it's something that just happened to them. If they don't want the option, then they just want they have the bloodlust and they just want to take care of that.
I don't disagree with that. I think that that's accurate. I think that I was just going to say something about how Snape could have had an opportunity, right? He took over the Defense Against the Dark Arts class, and he was like, hey, guys, werewolves. He could have led that into a class in his own potions class and been like, now I'm going to teach you how to help werewolves and them with their afflictions.
Oh, yeah.
Would have been an awesome teaching moment since he's one of the only people who could have done that.
That's a pretty good cross-curriculum thing we could have done.
Would have been beautiful.
I think that requires Snape to be a good teacher on top of other things, and I argue he's not the best. But that is neither here nor there at the moment. What is here right now is we learn that the Whomping Willow was planted because of Lupin. The willow was planted over the secret entrance. So when he transferred, because this was, now we're back to young Lupin in the timeline. And so Dumbledore took over as headmaster and said, hey, you can come to Hogwarts. We're going to take the secret tunnel into this building. We're going to sneak you there every month. We're going to plant the Whomping Willow over it so kids won't fuck with it. And that is how you are going to live out your transformations. You go away for the night, we'll come get you in the morning, and everything's hunky-dory. I would like to argue that now means, technically speaking, it is Lupin's fault that Harry and Ron got in trouble last year when they flew the car into the Whomping Willow. Because if Lupin didn't go to Hogwarts, the Whomping Willow would not have been planted, and they would have not crashed into it and got in trouble. They probably still would have got in trouble, but not for that.
I mean, they did steal a car.
And Dobby's the reason that they couldn't get into the train in the first place.
Yeah, if they would have landed nicely, maybe they wouldn't have gotten in as much trouble.
I would argue that wasn't necessarily Lupin's fault, but it was directly because of Lupin that they had a really rough time getting into school last year.
I would argue that it's kind of crazy that this is the measure that we took to, like, okay, a student has to leave the school once a month. Yeah, this kid has to leave the school once a month. So we're going to plant a wild attacking tree in the middle of the grounds to keep children from knowing where he's actually going and so they don't get hurt? That's crazy.
It's wild.
We even learned it didn't work because Lupin said when they were younger, they would play a game on trying to get as close to the base of the tree as they could. Someone got hurt, and then they were told, stop fucking with the willow.
Jade, you sell insurance, right? How you going to insure a house or a fucking castle with something like that next to it?
Oh, they don't have insurance.
Right. That's what I'm like. There's no fucking. We are going to plant this.
Quidditch also? Are you kidding me? No.
Literal liability right next to the castle around the kids. We're like, no, this will be fine.
Literally, they could have just walked him up to the astronomy tower, grabbed a couple brooms, flew him to the Shrieking Shack.
There's so many other ways this could have been
Locked
handled.
Him inside.
Let's be honest.
Nobody even knows where he's going.
Let's be honest.
What?
Every time this happens, I just always think to myself that maybe I could potentially make more sense of all of these non-answers that we get here if I had a little bit of beer. And I feel like maybe you guys would also like a little bit of a beer right now. And then maybe we could get a little bit more into Lupin's backstory. And then maybe after that we can do a little bit more.
There's no way in hell I'm stopping you. No.
I think that was the upper limit. I think that was it. I think that was it. That was as high as I could get without getting too lightheaded. Let's say that. So we're going to take a quick little break. We're going to get a beer, and we're going to dive even more into Lupin's childhood and backstory right after this. Hey, Nate, what are we drinking today?
Today we are drinking Sour Monkey Sour Triple from Victory Brewing Company. This could be amazing and could be really bad.
Yeah, we're all on the fence, I think, right now about this.
I've had sours that are great, and I've had sours that I've just wondered why somebody bothered. But, you know, they're all appreciated as an attempt, I guess.
Some more than others.
Right. The back of the can, and this is why I'm so split right now. The back of the can says, fruity notes from imported Belgian yeast swirl through a precise souring, pucker up to a bite of citrus-laden tang, ending with a delectable experience.
I mean, they know how to write a description.
They're hitting all the right selling points.
Yeah. I mean, based on that, the name, the art, I mean, I think everything about it is good presentation. I'm worried about execution.
Smell is interesting. Taste is really okay, actually.
Oh, okay.
No. The more it sits, the better it's getting.
That's sour.
That is quite sour.
Oh boy,
But also, that's pretty good.
that is the right amount of sour for me.
I think so.
I like that a lot.
But the smell, just give it a waft. It's a little something.
V for victory.
V for victory?
I'm ready to start.
I'm prepared.
I think this is a 9.
9.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's real good. That's a good sour. I like that a lot. No, you know what? 8. It's an 8. I can't drink that all day.
That's true.
I can't. I'm going to have 1 or 2 of those, and then I'm going to need to switch to something else.
It is novelty, kind of.
Yeah. So maybe not a river beer, but maybe a boat beer. Couple on the pontoon, then head back in.
Like a 7 monkey arms.
Oh, yeah.
7 monkey arms?
Yeah, 8 monkey arms.
He's got 4 on the can.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm actually right there with you, Jade. I like it, but I don't think I could drink a lot of it, or I'm also not going to drink it very often. But it is delicious and will be happy when I probably would buy another one. That's the thing.
Well,
I'd definitely buy it again.
It's a sour flavor, but it's not like it's the zebra ones that we have.
That are like margarita salt.
Yeah,
Oh,
so you have the
yeah.
salty, and there's a
Really
specific
just stays.
fruit flavor and some there's like it's unique. This
There's
is just
enough sweetness in this to where it's worth the little
it's
sour.
more, I'm just saying it's just a generic sour flavor. It's not like a specific fruit or anything, which is maybe taking it down enough, which is fine. It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
Well, I mean, I think, it's fine. I think it's good. And I think we should head right back to the book. Jade, when do you think we should head back?
Now!
And we're back with this next part of chapter 18. And we are still talking about Lupin's backstory. We are talking about his childhood. He is now at Hogwarts, and he is mentioning that he found 3 new friends. And those 3 friends, after a couple years of being friends, happened to notice that Lupin disappeared once a month, every month, at the full moon, and that their friend is actually a werewolf.
Yeah, they put it all together.
I don't think that they hit it very well, and I'm thinking that everybody actually knew, and they just didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
That would be fucking hilarious. It was like, well, I noticed you were scratching your neck the other day. He's
With
like,
your foot.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it wasn't until I saw you just completely change the structure of your body to scratch it with your toe that I started to wonder, hey, I think maybe something's going on with Lupin.
Lupin, you sniff the air a lot. It's weird. We all talk about it. No one says it, though. Literally everyone knows.
Well, I'm just saying, because it's mentioned that, Snape ends up finding it,
Oh, yeah.
ends up finding out as well. So, and Hermione figured it out. So it seems like anybody that was actually paying attention probably fucking knew. So,
Ravenclaws? You're going to sit here and tell me that not a single fucking Ravenclaw that was in year 1 when Lupin was year 1 figured it out by year 7? Of course they share classes.
The 5th year kids who saw that thing be planted and watched that kid get trotted down there every fucking year, every fucking month. Okay.
It looks like a punishment. Like, fuck, what did he do?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Well, and now, once his friends found out, they then decided that they were going to become animagi, and it took them.
Aaron, I'm sorry. You're incorrect. They became the best fucking friends ever.
Well, yes, that's
Ever.
true. Yes. They did take
friends that anyone could be.
the best part of 3 years to work out how to do it. So we're talking 13, 14, 15-year-olds that figured out how to become animagi. 12-year-olds started working on becoming animagi.
Hell yeah.
And figured it out by the time that they were 15.
And
Insane.
this is advanced magic, too. It's been established. So this is like way above and beyond their level.
And there's again, I know we talked about it in the last bit in the beginning. Only 7? If 3 teenagers figured it out, there should be way more than 7.
Yeah, they worked for 3 years to become animals. So their friend, who was a fucking werewolf, didn't have to be alone on arguably the 12 worst days of the year.
Yeah.
That is the coolest fucking thing.
Yeah.
Ever. This is like, I had mentioned it earlier before we started recording. This is kind of the equivalent of like your friends and your family all shaving their head in solidarity if you get cancer, or, I mean, you know, people transitioning and coming out in the real world. A bunch of their friends like, hey, we're all going to dress the same way tonight so you don't have to feel alone and exposed when you go out as who you really are. And so, you know, just being there. And it's fucking awesome.
I remember when I was in fraternity in college, there was a bunch of us that got asked to go to a gay bar. We had an openly gay member in the fraternity, and he made a note of like, hey, yeah, I like going out with you guys, but we always go to the bars you guys want to go to. We never get to go to the bar that I would like to go to where I'm more comfortable.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, fuck. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, let's go hang out together. You know, you don't have to go do your own thing. Lupin doesn't have to be in the Shrieking Shack by himself. We're going to join him. Another thing, especially in these last few chapters, we get an answer and it just leads to more questions. We're told the reason this whole thing works because werewolf bites only affect humans in human form. Transfigured humans are apparently totally immune to werewolf bites.
Wait, run that by me one more time.
So I will read Lupin's exact words. A werewolf is only a danger to people. They couldn't keep me company as humans, so they kept me company as animals.
Oh, so as long as they were in their animal form, if they did get bitten, it wouldn't harm them.
Yes, but they're still human.
No, I think that's the thing.
Oh, you fully
'Cause they're an
transform into
animal.
the animal.
Yeah, you're changing your body chemistry into you have animal blood at that time. You don't have human blood.
Okay, so that explains why it's so dangerous. You're literally transforming your entire body into it's not your form becomes this and you have human blood running through you. Like when you're a wolf, you are a wolf.
100%. The werewolf,
Interesting.
when he changes, he loses who he is. He becomes the werewolf.
Yeah.
So I think when you're an animagus, you become that animal. I think the difference is Lupin, because of werewolf, he lost the ability to maintain control, whereas the other people are like McG probably still has some sort of
They're still able to be
who I
sentient
am inside. Yeah.
inside the animal.
But I feel like in both cases, that instinct of the animal is there, and that's what makes this magic so hard, because you have to, there's got to be a balance of letting it take control and you controlling that instinct.
Okay.
I think the longer you are stuck as an animal, you end up stuck with some of those mannerisms as well.
Animorphs rules. You get 24 hours and then you're stuck that way forever.
That is a great point, Jade.
And
I wonder
stupid rule.
I wonder if we'll get more information on that later. But okay, so that is just me. I was thinking that didn't really make sense, but I guess, to be honest, now that you guys have input, it makes more sense to me.
Have. Let us know what you think. podcastatt@gmail.com.
Now, it is also said that because he was surrounded by friends through the power of friendship, and maybe some people would argue through the magic of love, Lupin does say that once his friends were with him when he transformed, he was less wolfish. Like, he would be able to reel himself in because he could fuck around with friends instead of being locked up in isolation.
They could keep him in check, but it wasn't necessarily like a violent threat.
Well, as opposed to being, shoved in a cell by yourself or whatever, you're able to communicate with other people in that form until you'll be like, hey, you're still Lupin, man.
Yeah.
You remember earlier today when we were fucking eating sloppy joes in the Great Hall, and you know, Wolf Lupin can be like, oh yeah, I do kind of remember that. They're like, all right, cool.
Hey.
We're gonna go steal some fucking candy from Honeydukes, right? Oh,
Yeah.
Dope. I'm in. Let's go.
Yeah, it can kind of revert where his wolf brain was thinking.
And let's be honest, everyone remembers sloppy joes. You don't forget.
Oh,
that.
hell yeah.
Yeah. Do they make those in the UK? Probably not.
Hey,
It seems like an American thing.
hey, UK listeners, let us know if you've ever had sloppy joes. This feels like an ignorant question on my part, but
No,
I'm
not at
curious.
all. They got some bomb-ass food over there. I know that.
Lupin does mention that his body was always wolfish, but his mind was less so. So it was. He was able to remember. That's what led to them writing the Marauders map, is because instead of being tucked away in the Shrieking Shack, they would explore the grounds in their animal forms. And Hermione points out something that is a little bit like, Hermione, shut the fuck up. But she does mention, like, hey, that feels dangerous. And Lupin even says, it was.
100%.
You're right. I regret what we did. It was dangerous and we shouldn't have. But we did get the map out of it.
Hermione, you and your friends were literally down on the grounds earlier this evening, and one
against
of your friends,
rules. In the grounds.
Yeah, one of your friends got bit by a dog and his leg got broken. So shut the fuck up.
And let's not forget book 1 and book 2.
Yeah.
All of the things.
Yeah.
The reason book 3 has been like, Harry, don't fuck around with shit, is because historically you and your friends do the same thing.
Do shit.
Teenagers do shit.
Yeah, just quick reminder, Hermione, your best friends are Harry and Ron, who break rules all the time.
Yeah.
So, calm down.
Yeah.
But she is right. That was a dangerous thing. A werewolf was running around the grounds unseen. How are these animals not noticed by anyone else?
Now, look, considering that Hogwarts is in Scotland, and considering they're in a very large castle, when you look out the window, you do kind of have a limited view as to what's around you. So assuming it's nighttime and everybody's in the castle, I don't feel like that's actually the way it works. I feel like there's people around outside doing things all night long because it's a very big place with a lot of people in it, but just supposing.
And I guess Scotland does close down a little earlier.
It's a little different vibe out there. But, I mean, they're very big. Somebody's going to see that. You got people like Hagrid, who is groundskeeper and pays really close attention to animals. You telling me he didn't see these tracks? Because it's not like they are a spiritual form of these things. They are an actual or big-ass animal running around the grounds. Hagrid's going to pick up on something like that.
Not just Hagrid. He's groundskeeper, but there was also another care of magical creatures professor at the school too.
Yeah,
At this time, because Hagrid's recently the care of magical. So there was 2 people who were very familiar with magical creatures.
I asked our guide there, John, hey man, is there any dangerous animals we need to be aware of when we're here in Scotland? He was like, oh no, man, we killed and ate like everything over the last few centuries.
So like wild pigs is like
to see really large predatory animals there.
Oh yeah,
would actually be a rarity because
good point.
There's not a lot of them now, and this is the 80s.
Point.
Well, and also just Dumbledore seems to know everything.
Yeah.
So the fact that you have 3, 4 students, well, one of them is excused, right?
Yeah.
But the other 3 are sneaking out, and he's not checking in on the student that's stuck in this isolated place.
You're not keeping an eye on the student werewolf's best friends?
Yeah.
Or even him. Like,
yeah.
Madame Pomfrey is dropping him off there, and then nobody's checking in on him the whole night that he's there.
Apparently not.
Dumbledore knows everything, but nobody sees.
Feels like I would post a guard.
Also, there is kind of a guard standing outside of Gryffindor Tower.
True. Yeah, the fat lady. Even if they don't leave from the dorms, at the students at this point, being James, Sirius, and Peter, they have to return to the dorm at some point, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you could leave like the trio did today. They left from the Great Hall, but they come back. They have to go back to the dorm. The fat lady apparently is under no obligation to report late night snooping.
And yes, they have an invisibility cloak, but how you can't open it, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. The whole again, we get an answer and half more questions are not told. To your point, though, of Dumbledore being kind of all-knowing, Lupin does bring it up that he has been fighting all year telling Dumbledore about whether or not Sirius is an animagi and breaking that trust that Dumbledore has in Lupin, because all of this was that Dumbledore trusted Lupin.
Yeah.
I trusted you as a student, and now I'm trusting you as a teacher to keep your shit in check and be responsible. And Lupin is purposefully omitting information from Dumbledore by not letting him know that, hey, that person that's breaking into the school can transform into a dog. So you need to look out for dogs. That might be how he's getting in.
And that is fucked up of him. But also, Dumbledore, what is your school doing that these kids, where were these kids able to practice and study this without anyone noticing for 3 years?
And nobody knew.
Like, what?
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm. Maybe it's just one of those things where, like, if you had if you had certain requirements, maybe there's a room that you could practice stuff in. I don't know. Like, Hogwarts is a magical place. Maybe
brush over it. Let's keep moving.
Yeah, maybe something's there.
I know what you did.
This Lupin then brings up that Snape has been right about him all along, because Snape's been very worried. Because Snape knows that Lupin's a werewolf, and he knew that Lupin was a werewolf when they were in school together.
Yeah, all the way back then.
We find out that the big prank, the thing that makes Snape hate Lupin and James and Sirius, is that Sirius tried to play a little bit of a trick on Snape.
Little goof.
Told him where to go, and Snape caught a glimpse of wolf form Lupin. James decided it wasn't that funny of a prank right at the end, pulled Snape back to safety. But that is where the hatred comes from. Sirius was putting Snape, all of them were putting Snape in a very dangerous position. James was clear-minded enough to pull him back. So everything's fine. But intent to do bad things was there.
It was there, man.
I don't know that James, the way that it's told to us, does not seem like James was in on it. He found out about it and told Snape about it. Because, listen, it's really shitty of Sirius, because Sirius's defense is, well, he should have been sticking his nose in it. No, you guys are sneaking out every fucking night and going to fucking town.
It does say that
some
Sirius pulled the trick.
Yeah.
And I think, so maybe James got word of it later and then was like, no, I need to go stop this.
And I can see Peter being like, oh, yeah, that's funny. But it seems like, and Lupin obviously didn't know, because and his friends obviously weren't planning on meeting him that night. Or if they were, James found out, oh, we're not meeting him because you pulled this fucking prank and I gotta go fucking do some bullshit.
Well, they know that Lupin in wolf form can't help himself. So they're sending Snape in there, knowing full well that he is going to hurt whoever goes in there because he's out of control and wants to, like, bite human flesh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the reason that they were able to run around with him in animal form and, like, keep him in check and away from people. But so the joke was that they're sending Snape in there to his death. And finally, James was just like, oh, fuck, wait, this is a really bad idea. But Snape, I mean, he's not wrong to be upset because, look, you did this to me. I could have died. You're also allowing Lupin to run around in animal form. Yeah, you're keeping him in check, but what if you can't? Who watches the Watchmen?
It does say when your father heard what Sirius had done and then went after Snape and pulled him back. But Snape did glimpse a transformed Lupin at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
So James was not in on that prank.
On that joke. Oh, yes. Okay.
Now
Sirius did it. But still, I mean, you could see Snape going, well, fuck the lot of you.
Sure. Yeah, guilty by association. Well, from Snape's perspective, he doesn't know that James wasn't in on it from the beginning. Now, I know what many of you might be thinking. You might be thinking, Aaron, there's literally only a few paragraphs left in this chapter. But I'm here to let you know that we are actually going to take a little bit of a break because we have so much more to say still. So we're going to take a little bit of a break. And especially Jade and I think we're going to dive into some stuff and we're going to let some frustrations loose. So let's get a break, maybe get a beer, and we'll get back right after this. We are back for the remainder of this chapter. And yeah, so we just got told why Snape hates this whole group, really. Sirius, Lupin, and James. And, and Harry even says that. He's like, oh, so that's why Snape hates you.
Oh, that's why he's so serious. Love it.
Because, yeah, Snape thought that everyone was in on the joke. And then from the man himself's mouth, Snape says, that's right. And Severus, I almost said Cerberus.
I was waiting for
balls.
That's so stuck in my head from when I was a child, and I am going to need to work on that. Severus Snape pulls off the invisibility cloak with his wand, pointed directly at Lupin.
Fucker. He's been there the whole time.
The whole time. Now,
He
look.
did it in the fucking best way, though.
We don't have any confirmation yet, because that is literally the end of the chapter. Another cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Snape has been in the room. That was the door, right?
He heard everything. Had to have been.
That was the door?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
It's got to be that was
Yeah.
the door.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So now, Snape, the first thing I want to bring up, because there's another obvious point. Snape just heard Lupin's side of the story, where Lupin didn't know that Snape was in the room. Judge, jury. I am arguing that Professor Lupin has zero reason to lie to Harry about what actually happened that night. Because he still portrays someone in the room as being bad, aka Sirius. Sirius played a very dangerous prank on Snape. So, we're going to resume the next chapter, and Snape's going to be like, wow, Remus, I'm so sorry I blamed you for the thing that Sirius Black did to me. You're a werewolf, can't help it, and your friend did a shitty thing. We're now going to hold hands, embrace our love for one another.
After hearing the story, you mean?
Yeah, and everything's going to be fine, right? Because why would Lupin lie? That's got to be the true story.
Oh, okay.
He's not, like, he doesn't know Snape was there, so why lie about the story?
Calling attention to whether or not he actually told it true, and now Snape is going to come out and say, well, here, this is how it actually happened.
Maybe.
I mean, he could
Maybe.
be covering to make himself sound a little better. You're in your younger, dumber days, you did some terrible shit. Maybe, I don't really know. It'll be a study of character.
Yeah.
To know if any details are different, how many, and the, scale to which they are.
Yeah.
I think that it might be that Snape is so upset about other things that he's ignoring what Lupin just said. Like, first of all, he definitely heard Lupin go, I think he's just jealous about James's quality
Also a
in the
good
Quidditch
point.
field.
Yeah.
Immediately, you hear one of your ex-rivals talking shit about your Quidditch skills.
Yeah.
And that being the reason that you're upset. That's why you're upset at James.
Selective hearing turned on.
Immediately, you're
100% right.
Can't hear anything else.
I take everything
you
I said
all.
back.
He just goes into a blind rage,
Yeah.
doesn't hear anything
Yeah.
else. No, you're wrong because fuck you, and that's all.
Okay.
Yeah, has nothing to do with
Yep.
that. Absolutely. Also, I was better at him. That's beside the point, though. I'm mad at him for other fucking bullshit.
That's the stinger line at the end after they fight, and he's like, and I was better than you at Quidditch.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think-
Good point.
I think the other issue is, again, with the timeline of events here, if you get real tight with it, right? You start focusing in. Lupin and Sirius have been here dropping all of this knowledge to the people here in the room. They have the knowledge they have. Lupin saw what he saw on the map before everyone left the map.
Mm-hmm.
Sirius, saw the map, right? He saw just Lupin. He didn't see anybody else.
Snape saw the map.
That's what I meant. Sorry.
Yes,
Snape saw the map. He saw just Lupin on the map. He doesn't know anybody else who's in the room. He doesn't know anything else that's going on. He also didn't enter the room until after some of that stuff was being discussed.
Yeah.
So, to his knowledge, he's walking in still just, maybe the prank wasn't on purpose, but you're here defending Sirius Black.
True. That's a good point.
After all of this stuff, who is a fucking murderer. So you weren't part of the prank, but all in all, you're still a piece of shit human being. So get your hands up.
That's a great point. The door opened, and then after the door opens, they don't talk about Peter Pettigrew hardly at all. It's all Lupin's backstory.
Yeah,
so Snape
doesn't know that Peter's in the room. Yeah, he has no idea that that Sirius is innocent, and any of that layer to it.
I was thinking that his thoughts toward Lupin would be better because he heard the quote unquote true side of that story. But he says, okay, Lupin maybe didn't mean to do that, but he's still working with a serial killer.
He missed the whole part where Sirius is okay now.
I can't believe I literally wrote the notes for this, have listened to this chapter near half dozen times. It still didn't pick up on that.
Yeah. So the time, that's why this book with the time is so interesting, because the timeline is very important, especially in these last couple chapters when the information is given, because it's parsed out in such a way that.
Look, I miss shit like this all the time. But I love when, like this, I just had an Erised moment, which just happened
So Snape was in the room when he talked about the Wolfsbane potion?
Yeah.
Never said that he was thankful for Snape for making that potion.
It's almost
that probably would have went a long way.
He was somebody knows he was in there.
Yeah.
Lupin's a wolf. Maybe he smelled him come in and he was like, okay, the Pettigrew stuff is off the table now. I'm going to just kind of divulge our backstory and make my position known to these kids before you reveal yourself and start telling them your side of the story, which is probably going to look a lot worse for me.
I know, Jade, you and I, as we were talking about the layout of Hogwarts grounds, this is where our confusion comes in. Snape takes off the invisibility cloak, which I feel safe in assuming that means that he picked up the invisibility cloak. Does anyone disagree with my assumptions so far?
I believe it's stated by Snape that he picked it up at the base of the Whomping Willow.
He had to have come roughly the same route that Lupin took to get to the Whomping Willow. Why did Lupin not pick up the cloak? That feels like someone who went his potentially full 7 years of Hogwarts watching James disappear under this cloak. You wouldn't leave that lying around, I don't think.
Blind tunnel vision, so he couldn't shout out to any of the adults in the rooms or any of the older students or any of the ghosts, and he couldn't grab the invisibility cloak or bring the map or say, I solemnly swear that I am up to no good, which is your fail-safe security method that you built into the goddamn map yourself so other people couldn't see you doing shit.
Yeah. I just, there's a lot of, again, we get answers and I have more questions and none of it makes sense.
Lupin kind of says that he put two and two together and came here in a hurry, right?
Sure.
Maybe he just fucking missed it.
It could be.
That would be my character story arc. Be like, you walked right past the silver orb that controls the dragon and be like, oh, what? Oh, fuck. My bad, guys.
Oh, I got sent into this dungeon to grab a sword.
Yeah,
I'm looking for a sword.
I was not looking for that at all.
And I fully get that. Panic happens.
Could be.
Everybody reacts differently in an emergency.
Yeah.
I just feel like as an adult, when you're an adult as Lupin and you're like, oh, look at those three kids with the... Oh, I thought that adult was dead, but he's hanging out with the kid. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, look. That other adult is grabbing the child and dragging him and the other adult. Oh, shit. I'm going to go follow, like, your brain is just like, I better run. And you're not, there's no part of you that's like, I should send an owl or like any other type of magical message.
Yeah.
Or like, there's magic in this. I guess the thing that baffles me is that we're in a world with magic and these are adults that should have access to untold levels of spells that we don't know anything about. And so maybe there's something in your tool belt that could have been, you know, some type of assistance in here as opposed to just hoofing it all the way to the fucking tree and it'd be like, oh, now I'm here. And it's wild to me.
I think what we're getting into here is that it's hard to keep trying to dissect this without getting into spoilers. So I think that we've said just about everything we can about this chapter. But that doesn't mean that it's the end of the discussion. Because I would argue that maybe you people, you people.
You did it again.
My God.
I argue that you people could maybe do something on your end.
I think he is trying to piss somebody off at this point.
Never.
If you wanted to let us know what you thought about this episode or this chapter, you can send an owl to podcastatt@gmail.com or follow us on any of our social medias. If you really enjoyed this episode and wanted to support us, you can go to patreon.com/podcastatt and make a pledge. That was wonderful. At any amount, we would love to see you there.
We do a lot over there.
We do. We're having a lot of fun. We got a Patreon Discord. We're doing live episodes. Shenanigans and fuckery will be had. I would like to thank each and every one of you for listening, and we will see you real soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone. Hey, you know what? I might try to make you angry sometimes, but I love you.